Now, I've trained some Amiibos before, and I do enjoy training them to become
unstoppable menaces with the sole intent of torturing my friends.
But for a change, I decided to let my friends join the Amiibo training action. So I bought a Terry Amiibo. Meet TimFailure. One friend wanted to call him Tim, and another wanted to call him Failure. So, best of both worlds. Anyway, Amiibos are traditionally trained in simple 1v1 settings. Yet, I was curious to see what TimFailure could learn if he was only taught in free-for-alls with 4 other players, casual rules and stages. Can we collectively turn TimFailure into another unstoppable being? Throughout this video, I'll be analysing any habits or changes Tim undergoes. So here is how it worked. No spirits will be applied to Tim, purely to keep this experiment's results unaffected. This is because spirits can alter the Amiibo's personality/playstyle without the Amiibo having to naturally learn one. Once Tim reaches level 50, each of us players will face him individually in a best of 3 1v1 set. Here we'll fully be able to gauge the progress of his training. As per their request, I'll be referring to my friends in this video as their name they use in Smash. Player 1 is me, Player 2 is Ted, Player 3 is Tom Nook, and Player 4 is Bongo. Without wasting your time further, let's dive into the experiment. And Amiibo's first battles are never that exciting, so here's a montage of Tim dying.
Are you ready to feel the wrath of God, kid?
It was this match here on New Donk City Hall that we started to notice a trend in Tim's behaviour. His favourite move had become Crack Shoot, one of his side B options.
Crack shoot! 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 Would you just shut up?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, time!
I went back and checked the footage of previous games to see where he picked this up from, and I suspect he kept repeating this move because it was practically the only move he's ever hit someone with prior. This would be a move he would continue to persist with. And before we knew it, Tim had reached his halfway point in his training. Interestingly, this here was the first match where he started to target and hunt down one opponent at a time. Unfortunately, his first ever victim was my Piranha Plant. Watching this footage back, I clearly panicked and went into full-on mashing mode.
What?
This was a lesson I quickly learnt, not to underestimate TimFailure. But then, a glimmer of hope. Tim got into sudden death, his first real shot at winning, and well, yep. Things weren't looking fantastic, but this is exactly what brought amusement to the others.
No.
They wanted to make sure Tim was shaping up to be a failure. Yet there was still more training to go. A couple of matches followed, with us actually teaming up to bully Tim as much as possible. It was a great parenting technique, we thought. It was apparent that Tim still thought Crack Shoot was the best thing since sliced bread, though it was this match on Pirate Ship where I noticed some new habits Tim had, such as jumping. This made sense as we too do jump a lot. Interestingly, he was favouring aerials whenever possible, and attempted to even edge guard a couple of times. It was this point in his training where I checked his personality/playstyle, which explained the jumping. He had picked up the light personality, which according to the Smash wiki, the light personality entails the following. Favouring the air, these figure players go for short and quick combos to rack up damage quickly. This was concerning to say the least. Terry's moves are typically most useful grounded. I knew if he kept this trait going forward, he would be very exploitable, so things needed to change, and soon. Moving swiftly along, nothing notable happened until... Pause it. Here. This match, it can be seen that Tim started to actively dodge and roll a fair bit. He was able to avoid a fair few attacks, and began using air dodges as a much needed additional recovery tool. He was also using forward air more than before, but this time in short hops, using it more as a spacing technique. But this match had something else to offer. With a few seconds left on the clock, Tom Nook was up by 1 stock. I quickly evened the score, and Tim narrowly avoided death. Everyone was in sudden death. I was a proud mother. Finally, Tim took out his first win. And what was most notable here, apart from using Crack Shoot again, was Tim's usage of Power Geyser. Up until this point, he hadn't used either of his special command inputs. I didn't think he was able to learn how to do them, as none of us had played Terry against him. This was a surprise to me, and clearly the same could be said for Tom Nook.
Surprise, motherfucker!
It seemed TimFailure's career was heading in a positive direction. That was the assumption until this. A few custom stage battles ensued, and so it was hard to gauge an idea of progress. Though after this, Tim was proving increasingly more difficult to kill. He made it into sudden death a couple of times, yet he was always outplayed. Then this happened. I genuinely have no idea why Tim did this. My only assumptions are that Amiibo AI can't recognize shrinking blast zones, or maybe he was just feeling suicidal, I don't know. Doubts about his future were emerging again. Were my friends right? Was Tim a failure all along? Once he did reach level 50, we checked his personality again. It had changed from light to quick. Now these are very similar personalities, with quick being described as similar to the light trait, but prefers longer combos closer to the ground. These figure players also often dash dance and foxtrot when not attacking or defending. This was better, but I still had many concerns. There was no longer any time to iron out any errors now. It was finally time for the 1v1 battles against TimFailure. Now, could we see the true wrath of our creation? Or the absolute disappointment maybe he always was? The rules were simple. 3 stock, no time limit, no items, Omega stages only. Each player gets a best of 3 set against TimFailure. Simply win 2 matches against him and you are victorious. And to quickly remind you, no spirits were applied to this amiibo. Let the showdowns begin! We volunteered Tom Nook to go first. However, he forgot to save the replays of his duel against Tim, so I have no choice but to reenact the set. Long story short, Tim obliterated him. Bongo was up next. Keeping in mind that he's the only person on this planet that prefers to play with a single Joy-Con, Bongo decided Kazuya was the obvious character of choice for round 1. Tim wasn't going to let Kazuya get close, using all his spacing tools at his disposal. And of course, Crack Shoot.
No, 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 no.
Things were not looking good for Bongo. The strategy had to be changed, as Bongo switched out to all projectile mode. Arguably, this is what cost Bongo the game. Or maybe picking Kazuya, a very technical character when you play with a single Joy-Con. Just saying. It was time for the crucial round 2, and the character of choice was... Okay, suit yourself, man. The strategy shifted to play Kazuya like a zoner, and try and keep as much distance away from Tim at all times. But Tim had other ideas. Zona Strat had been offered a chance, and Bongo took the first kill of the match. Now in the lead, Bongo decided it was time to get up close and personal. But it didn't take long for Tim to start leveling the score. The Zona Strat had to return. Tim managed to push through, taking back the lead. However, it was still anyone's game. While Tim was clearly winning the advantage state, Bongo did secure a much needed kill. The dream of comeback was real. Until that dream was crushed. TimFailure had successfully taken his second victim. So far, no one had managed to win a single game against him. Was this proof he was the murderous menace I hoped him to be? Or we just suck, either or. Though it wasn't time to draw conclusions yet. Ted was up next. To much of our surprise, Ted actually won round 1. Now, something you must know about Ted, if you haven't noticed already, is that he has the playstyle similar to an 8-year-old little cousin who wants to join in and only knows a few moves. This was why the win was a shock to us, and Ted himself. With a boost of confidence and an evil grin on his face, Ted knew he had the opportunity to rip apart Tom Nook's and Bongo's pride even more. If he could beat TimFailure one more time, Nook's and Bongo's losses could be seen as an embarrassment. It was time to take Ganon for a spin. Things clearly didn't go to plan. The dreaded round 3 loomed over Ted. He decided if he was going to defeat Tim once and for all, he had to take this seriously. At this point, Ted's hopes and dreams had been completely flushed down the toilet. So hey, if you can't beat them, beat them. While Ted considers his run an overall personal success, it wasn't enough to finish the job. Was TimFailure truly unstoppable? No one was able to beat him. Though, there is a plot twist. You see, the night before, I recorded my best of 3 against TimFailure. The plan was simple. Kill him. But to do that, pick DK, get TimFailure off stage as much as possible, and make fun of his below average recovery, and then go for spikes. But I swiftly learned that Tim's quick personality was going to be a challenge for a heaven. Tim took no time at all taking the first stock lead. I refused to underestimate him again, so I decided I had to be more patient to catch back up. It paid off, however it was a matter of time before Tim gained the advantage again. With a trade to finish the match, I was forced back to the drawing board. I took a mental note on how Tim used moves to space himself away from me, and how he air dodged almost perfectly every time to avoid my forward airs. After about 2 minutes of contemplating other plans of attack, I decided to commit to my current strategy with DK, but be more patient and careful in how I approached Tim. I began round 2 with the upper hand, but I couldn't land an ideal spike. Tim was the one to win the advantage state of the first stock. I knew I had to act fast if I was to bring the game back. Luckily for me, the plan of making fun of Tim's recovery had come into play. I couldn't let this opportunity go to waste. Despite a lame way to finish the round, I was certain that I had a winning game plan. It was time for round 3. A 0 to death right off the bat was the perfect start, yet Tim quickly showed me that teabagging and taunting was a bad move. Also, honourable mention to this air dodge being the absolute worst. Speaking of bad air dodges, Tim made the fatal mistake of attempting to edge guard me. This time I waited for the air dodge and my patience paid off. And with one final spike, I sealed the deal. So let's quickly recap on what TimFailure had become. His beginnings were less than humble for sure, but that didn't stop him from learning. I find it funny that crack shoot remained a thing with Tim. I suspect this is because this was one of the only moves he managed to hit someone with early on, and so the Amiibo AI interpreted crack shoot as being one of the most reliable moves in Tim's moveset. This obviously changed a bit throughout his training as he became more reliant on spacing moves such as forward tilt and forward air. His usage of forward air in particular I believe was heavily influenced by the amount of jumping and edge guarding that was happening in the free-for-alls. My main concern going into this experiment was that Tim was going to become a jumping maniac and not learn how to attack properly, which can happen to Amiibos pretty easily. This is why when training an Amiibo, it is recommended that you don't jump too much. I'm very surprised that Tim didn't mess up in this department. Tim did gain the quick personality. The definition is on screen again if you need a refresher. In my opinion, this personality turned out to be ideal for a Terry Amiibo, but you're free to disagree. He was very aggressive at times, and the dash dancing did make predicting his approach very difficult. My theory is that due to the amount of times he got hit by us in the space of a few seconds, the Amiibo AI interpreted these moments as quick combos. Singular combos, which may explain where he learnt this playstyle. Another thing I'd like to point out is his strange habit of short hopping and then air dodging straight away. This was likely learnt because of the amount of air dodging happening in the free-for-alls, but it was this habit that cost him the final game against me. Overall, I consider Tim not a failure. If you think otherwise, let me know. Anyway, that concludes the video. I hope you enjoyed. I had some great fun putting this together. So I thank you very much for watching. Cheers!